Well, thank you very much, Anna, and thank you very much for having the opportunity to talk about CO2 reduction here. I think the question that we would like to talk about today was how can we halve the carbon emission from construction. And as some of you have said before today, we have to take in consideration that most of the reduction should come from either choosing other materials or use less materials. And I totally agree on that. And being a material producer, I think, of course, that this is an interesting challenge that we should try and find a solution for. Going back to one of the earlier speakers, it was interesting to see that the cure had 5 points coming from Norway. And I can say that we are actually working on 3 of them. It was more reuse of material, it was low carbon materials, and emission-free sites. And I'm happy to see that my strategy is right, because we have all 3 right on in Unicon Denmark. But what is the real issue here? Today, already in the market available in Denmark, we have concrete, the first generation of ready-mix concrete with a 25% reduction. The products are third-party certified from EPD Denmark. It's standard products. It's available all over the country. It covers 90% of the product range. And of course, it all fulfill national norms and regulations. And again, this is only 25%, and we have more initiatives on the way. And I'm pretty sure that we will reach a 50% reduction much earlier than 2030. So I think that the issue is not to reduce carbon emission in building materials. I think it's already in the market. And we, the RNC industry in Denmark, can actually deliver the reduction in carbon emission now, not the 50, but let's start with 25. And also think that we can do it at a very low price. So what is then the issue here? From my point of view, the CO2 reduction is primarily a political agenda in Denmark. It's not really public driven yet. And I also think that most investors in the market, real estate investors, find so far limited financial incentive to reduce CO2. If we look at the market today, I know it's growing, but let's look upon it today. It's less than 5% of the market, much less actually. It's growing, so let's talk about how do we find a way to use that momentum. But then again, should we just sit down and wait for regulation or taxes to push the change, or should we try to find a way to boost an industry like my own and all the other value chain companies in the business? How do we boost it so that we find a way to accelerate the development? How do we find a way to take advantage of the momentum that we have right now? Obviously, I believe myself that we should try to use the momentum and not slow down. We should try and pick up. And I also think that in a very short time, there will be more than a couple of % of the market. I believe it will grow rapidly. But let's see how can we boost it. And from my point of view, let's split down again to environmental sustainability and economic sustainability and social sustainability, because it's different areas here. And when we talk about how do we really cut down the CO2 emissions, I think we should identify the materials that can actually make a substantial difference in carbon emission and focus on them. I also think that the GBSC can use their platform to increase knowledge of these materials that actually makes a difference and available in the market. And of course, it's very important that we have numbers. Otherwise, we're not really sure what we're talking about. So certified materials, EPDs, so we know we can calculate. And doing these things together, I believe it will push the market forward. From the financial, economic point of view, I think GBNC can play a more active role in making financial incentives, meaning that what we see in Denmark anyway is that Green Building Council is a very strong player in the market. and it's very interesting to get certifications, gold or platinum or whatever ambition level people have. And I think GBNC has a very strong position here. And also, I also think it's important that GBNC live up to that responsibility and start pushing more CO2 reduction to get the certification. Again, everything costs money. So let's look upon the initiatives that cost the less, so that we get as much reduction as we can for less money. Then again, if we look upon the economic, financial point of view, talking about CO2 emissions reduction, I think it's important that we don't take risk. Let's focus on, still focusing on making constructions, buildings with no maintenance, high durability, and avoid taking risks on materials in our effort to reduce carbon emission. Otherwise, we might have a setback. Then the social sustainability going into CO2 emission reduction. We still have to remember that we have to build in a way that people actually enjoy living in these buildings. And we also have to, I think, focus on making big constructions and buildings, housing for families where it's how can we say it? It's a positive environment to live in, stable condition, temperature, moisture, noise, etc., so that we can actually improve living instead of reduce living by in our effort to make CO2 reductions. And then finally, I think there's a lot of there's a public out there. There are buyers out there, young buyers especially, who wants to make the right choice. So let's give them the choice to actually make that choice. Like I said before, GDNB in Denmark is in a unique position here. So let's try and use that platform to push the CO2 reductions, and we can do much better here. From a material producer's perspective, I think if we should actually make this transformation in CO2 reduction, I think it's important that we try to standardize the products that we put into the market. So that's easy. It's going to be easy. It has to be easy to make a sustainable choice. I also think that it's important to understand that nobody can do this on our own. The investors can't do it. The entrepreneurs can't do it. We can't do it. It's about making dialogue. It's about talking together. And the projects that we have been working on so far has been quite interesting, because there has been this open book dialogue long before there was any contracts. And this was very interesting because it brings us in another place, and it actually makes us it makes it possible to make changes in the construction industry very rapidly, and very huge difference in CO2 reduction, in reuse, and in etc. Making value on this CO2 reduction, I think it's important to understand that both industry and every participant in the industry has to sort of stay ahead of the curve, so that we can use the knowledge that we get in a way to boost our value proposition in the market. This is also an opportunity for all the participants, and I think it's just to get out there in the market and try to do it. So basically, to make this short, it's no longer about creating the sustainable possibilities. It's no longer about make it possible. It's actually about making it happen. It's very easy actually to make huge CO2 reductions in the market right now. It's just a matter of making the choice. And as I said before, to be able to make that choice, it's important that we actually make sure that the people who make the choice, the investors, know it's possible. And then again, I think DGNB has a role here to play. So it's about making it happen, because you only build once, or as we say in my business, we only cast once. So let's do it right the first time. Thank you.